Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Smith Custom 200. This is a car originally from Mafia 2 that has been ported over to BeamNG.drive. There are 5 versions available. We're just going to start off with the first one on the list, which is the V8. And in the picture, it's green, but by default, the color is orange. Kind of unusual, so we're going to make the color green just so it matches the regular thumbnail. And the first thing I want to take a look at is the J-beam structure. So we can go ahead and pull that up. Now this car crashes acceptably. The J-beam structure is based on the Grand Marshal, and there are some things that really kind of stand out as being a little unusual about it because of that. Like this headlight, for example. We have a rounded headlight, but we still have the rectangular headlight right here from the Grand Marshal. Over here on the side, we also have this whole bottom section with no J-beam structure whatsoever. But it's not like this is just a total rip from the Grand Marshal plopped on this car. It has been modified in a bunch of ways to fit this car more properly. I mean, you can see like this roof, for example, matches up very well. And then the trunk as well is a lot better than if it was just grabbed from the Grand Marshal and plopped onto this car. And that makes it overall crash acceptably. It's not perfect, but it works good enough in most of the crashes. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside as well. And as you could tell, this really was not made to be driven from this camera angle. This is a pretty low detail interior, but it does have a functional steering wheel and functional pedals down there. So at least it has that going for it. Now let's go ahead and do a crash from the inside because that's not something I normally do. We'll just do like a small overlap kind of crash right here. 16 times slow-mo. Smash our head into the dash. So how does this interior hold up? Perfectly fine. Since it's so low detail, there's not really much to go wrong. You know, you see a little bit of a bend in the dash, but I would say that's acceptable. And the doors and all the chairs look perfectly fine. So how's the outside look? Let's see. It looks acceptable. I do notice a couple of unusual things. Like it looks like there's a bit more roof damage than you would have expected. And there is a really big spike right about there. But for the most part, it seems like it did reasonably well. Just like I said, this is an acceptable structure. It does have some oddities every now and then, but it works good enough most of the time. And now that you've seen the car crash, we can go ahead and take a closer look at the exterior. So on the back, we do have a Smith logo. It is kind of blurry though. We also have this little tiny square right here. Like, that's part of the logo, and I don't know why, but there's this little tiny square. It's driving me crazy trying to figure out what it was for, if it's just unintentional. I have to assume it's just unintentional. And then we do have the black plates, and I really still want a black plate on my car. The problem is, it's the exact same price to get a sequential black plate and a customized one. So I'm like, what do I want it to say? And I can never quite decide. And I do think, though, black plates on black cars looks awesome. I've seen a couple of people who have it, and I'm like, yeah, that'll definitely look good on my car. Anyways, though, there is the rear of the vehicle. Here's the side profile. And one thing that's kind of cool is this chrome. When you get really close to this chrome, it can kind of look crazy in the reflections. Like, you look at the reflection on it right here, and it looks kind of cool and crazy at the same time, and I like that. And it's the same for up here. If you get the right angle, you have this kind of cool and crazy looking reflections on it. And really, there's just a lot of chrome on this vehicle overall. Like, you got chrome everywhere, which is kind of fitting for the style though. Now the tires and wheels on this don't appear to be ones I've seen before. I think they are custom ones from Mafia 2 that have been ported over with the vehicle itself. And now we can go ahead and take a look at the front as well. So again, you have some more Smith stuff on it. You have that same badge, and once again that little square is present. You have another Smith right here, which is actually harder to read the closer you get. Like, you zoom out, it makes it easier to read it. You get really close and it's a little bit harder to read because of the way the reflections work, it seems like. Like right here, I really can't read that it says Smith that easily. And once again, we have a front license plate, so this has to be a car that's in one of the states that requires front license plates. You know, I'm surprised if you're playing Mafia, you're part of the Mafia, who cares if you don't have front license plates, right? I wonder if there's a thing to remove it in the game. I can't remember, I played that game so long ago. Anyways, we also have a pretty cool looking hood right there I like. And then for functionality, we have functional headlights. You can see they light up what's in front of us, and the high beams do so even more. We have blinkers, but they're a little bit unusual. You'll notice there's a little bit of a light coming from like the upper headlight. You can kind of just see right here, there's an ever so slight increase in the brightness, which doesn't seem like it's coming from the blinker. And this vehicle has no indicators on the side, which is kind of unusual. You don't see that too often. And then on the back, we have that light, which works as a blinker. It also works as a brake light, but it does not do anything as a reverse light. There are actually no reverse lights on this vehicle when you're in reverse. There are only brake lights. So you see reversing, nothing. Just the brake lights. And I had to put it into the real automatic to make that a little bit easier to show off. And now let's go ahead and crash it some more. How about that? We'll try to like slide it into something. Oh, this really isn't the best map for this. Like trying to slide this car here, it has a pretty poor turning radius. So, you know, if I really want to do this, I should go to another map. So how about we'll finish up this car on this map and then we'll do what I wanted to do somewhere else. So we'll just keep bashing it up here and there. Oh, got stuck. So far, still looking all right. Still drives too. Got another damaged piece. And is that in the air or is that dead? Oh, that's just in the air, so we can keep driving. Rear bumper is hanging a little awkwardly. Still driving though, so we're just gonna try to hit something else. There we go. Oh, that's weird. Okay, it looks like the upper part of the trunk is perfectly fine, but the lower part is ruined because I'm hitting it right below the lip of the trunk. That's kind of unusual. All right, I'm just gonna keep bouncing in things with the rear. Not exactly easy to see where you're going because of the stupid camera, but looks like it's doing some pretty good damage to it. All right, there we go. Now we actually damaged the top part of the trunk. And overall, it's not too bad. That is a little bit spiky right there on the right side. Right there. But nothing real wrong with the rear aside from that. Overall, I think it looks okay. From the front over here, I really see no issues aside from maybe the headlight thing kind of being a little crazy shaped. Like where the headlight would normally sit inside there, it kind of just deformed a little awkwardly. All right, let's go ahead and crash into whatever's over here. Still looking decent. Rear bumper has fallen off. And you know what? This map just does not work out well for this car, so I'm just going to go and switch up to, let's just go to grid map. And now it should be real easy to do a side impact because we can just slam into this car with another car. And this is my favorite way of doing the side impacts as well because you get to see both what it looks like from a side impact, how the car crashes into other cars, and then also what it looks like from a frontal impact. It really works out well. So also, here's the lowrider version. The only difference between this one and the normal one is the suspension. It's a lot lower. The tires and wheels are different, and that's it. And you can kind of see when we steer full lock, there's just a tiny bit of clipping of the wheel through that fender. Like actually right there, it's a better example. There we go. So you can see it does go through it just a bit. Nothing too crazy, but it is noticeable if you look closely. And again, this thing has such a bad churning ability. It just feels awful. It almost feels like the lead sled Burnside. It just does not steer well. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't. You know, it's a car from the 50s. Those things aren't exactly going to be amazing vehicles in terms of maneuverability, you know? So anyways, this is a 75 mile per hour crash. And you know, I do this fast because you have two things that are both going to crumple. So this is like if you slid into a block at 40 miles per hour or whatever. You know, that's why you do the side impacts at such high speeds. Well, that kind of looked weird, like the way the game went into full speed and the car stopped at the same time. Like it just whipped it and stopped instantly. That was kind of trippy. So anyways, here's another front impact. Overall, it looks okay. There's like a little piece sticking out right there that I thought was the mirror for a second. You probably can see what I mean. And, you know, nothing too bad. It looks reasonable. And moving on to the blue one, that actually looks pretty good. Like that's really what I would want to see from that kind of impact. How's it look from the inside? Very reasonable. There is some encroachment from the door, but that was a 75 mile per hour crash, so that's to be expected. We have a little bit of the door opening up on this side. I don't know if that's something you would expect to see or not in this kind of vehicle. It is a little bit unusual, though, and worth mentioning. And this front fender right here got a good amount of damage to it, but it looks like it's okay. You know, something about this car, the way it gets damaged, like the metal does crumple, if you see what I mean. Like the way the reflections bounce off of this now, you can see there is not a flat surface on that fender. Hood, though, hood looks good. So we can go ahead and reset both of these, and let's go ahead and do a rear impact now and see how that does. And we'll try to make it as a partial overlap, so we won't hit it head on. We'll hit it kind of like this. Perfect. 100 times slow-mo on this one. Really see the deformation in real time, or in much slower than real time. All right. Looks pretty good overall. Let's go ahead and speed it up some. Okay, I'm happy with that. That was a perfectly placed collision. Oh, we somehow managed to flip it over, though. I did not foresee that. All right, so here, oh, that's kind of weird. You can see, like, right into the interior because the fender fell off, and it looks like the firewall got damaged somehow. You can see right into it. That's kind of unusual. Aside from that, though, seems pretty decent. Headlight is kind of hanging from nothing as well. So a couple of oddities here and there, but overall, still acceptable. Now, as for the car that got flipped over, well, let's look at this, huh? Looks, really good, actually. I see no problems with that. Rear light might have deformed a little strangely, but that is totally acceptable. The bumper has half disappeared. I think it's, deformed properly, though. Oh, I see the other half. There it was. It's hard to see it, but there you go. So overall, very good. The next thing you want to do is just kind of see how strong is this roof. And I haven't used this procedure in a long time, but a very easy way to test roof strength is as follows. First, you bring the car over to somewhere like here where there's a flat surface directly above it. And we'll just park it about here. If you look straight up, there's a perfectly flat surface above it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Environment tab, and we're going to put on Negative Earth. And we'll slow it down some. Rid of that. So 16 times slow-mo right there. That has basically totally destroyed the roof. So now the question really is, well, what does that mean? Is that what you would expect? Is that too much damage? Is that too little? So here's the easiest way to figure out how to compare this. We're going to grab a similar vehicle. Now the Burnside Special, that's a pretty similar vehicle. It's not exactly the same vehicle, but you would expect to see pretty similar structural strength in the roof, I would assume. So we're going to do the exact same test with this one. Now since this one is a stock vehicle, this is what I always use for comparisons. So you notice it looks like this roof held up a little bit more than the Smith Custom did. So I would say it might be a little too fragile, and we'll do it one more time just to really test this out. And I should mention, actually, this car, if you haven't got it by the name, it is resembling a Ford Custom 300. Like, you know, the name is so very similar. It's like that has to be the one it was based off of. So looking at this again, yeah, there is a lot more damage to this roof, so I would say the roof might not be as structurally strong as you would expect to see here. Go ahead and bring it back down to the earth, and that makes it even more damaged when you bring it down. So you have to look at it before you do that. Oh, interesting. That also immobilized the car. Guess we'll go and reset it then, and let's see if we can get this thing to flip over naturally, just to see kind of what happens. We'll try to hit this giant hill in a way that'll flip it over, although this is easier said than done. Knowing my luck, I probably will just do a perfect jump. There's a little bit of flipping. There we go. Nice impact to see. So vehicle can still drive. So let's keep going. Try to hit the other hill over here, which isn't as steep as the other one, so we probably won't get into the air nearly as much, but you can see what happens. There we go. Good impact. Whoop! We're still driving. Still driving. Keep going. All right. The front right tire is basically ruined, though. And I wonder if this car can actually drown now. It almost looked like I went right through the water with the engine and it didn't stop it. So let's do a quick test on that and see if it stops or not. Right into the water. Not really that deep of water, though. This water's too shallow. We need deeper water for this test. Go to the deeper water. I know where deeper water is. Just takes a second to get there. I noticed the roof is kind of bouncing right in the middle. You can kind of see that when we go over a bump. It gets a little strange right there. Right there, you can really see the bouncing vibrations of the roof. Alright, so let's see. Can the water kill the car? The answer is yeah. It really has to get submerged, though. Almost as like it has a snorkel on it or something at first. Alright, so that has killed the car. Bring it over here. So I think you've seen it crash enough. We can go ahead and go over the different versions, though. So we have the race version, which is pretty much the same as the one we were just using, which is the regular V8, except it has a better engine, a better suspension, and different wheels, and a slightly different setup for the way it steers. Also, I don't know what that thing is right there. It's a little kind of a black circle on the wheel. Otherwise, though, it's exactly the same. Pretty good at spinning its wheels, that's for sure. And is it really like a race car? Nah, it's more of just a sporty, fast version of that car. Still doesn't steer that well or anything. That's a nice impact. Whoa, can it drive? Can it drive? Maybe. Again, we have that kind of bouncy roof in the middle. Not as bad as last time, but it is there and present. And I can't control this right now. It is beat up. We got flat tires and it's non-symmetrical. Gotta reset that. Alright, let's try to do a chop top in the easiest way possible. I really miss having that thing that could do a chop top automatically, though. There used to be this piece on the old version of Grid Map. It's gone now, though. So here we go. Alright, that has immobilized the car. But overall, that actually did pretty well in terms of damage. A little bit of a... Oh, it's kind of weird. Like right here, you can see a black stripe or something right here. But in other angles, it is non-existent. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, so that's the race version. Let's go ahead. We'll look at the next one, which is the street lowrider. Now, compared to the regular lowrider, the only difference I saw is that this one has a different set of wheels. That is really the only difference. So, not much to say about that one. Well, actually, you know what? We could do a suspension test with it, which it'll most likely fail. Alright, here we go. Also worth noting, it only has one side view mirror on the driver's side. It's just a feature some cars lack, is having them both. At least in that time period. It's actually making it through. One thing worth noting, though, you remember how I mentioned earlier how that bottom section doesn't have a J-beam structure? It clips entirely through that block, basically, as we're going over it. And it's only actually scraping on the upper section of the door. So it kind of makes it easier for it to make it. Like, if it was really sitting as low as it looked, it probably wouldn't have made it. Alright, let's do another flip. Because I don't think we'd have enough speed to make it. Good flip. Good damage. Alright. Last one on the list is actually a little bit more interesting than that one. It is the Police Special, and the color is always a little screwed up. I don't know why. No, it's not like I chose the orange color. It just has that color. For example, if we say, oh goodness, which color is the right one? See, that color is the regular one. That one just affects the car itself. None of the other colors will do anything. Like you'll see, no matter what I pick, it will be orange. So I don't know why, but it is. Now you have the most unusual police car you'll ever see. And as for the way it actually looks, it just has the light on top, the stickers, and a different sway bar compared to the normal V8. Otherwise, pretty much the same. So now let's go ahead and finish up this video by destroying the cars at Brutal Slope and then Leap of Death. For this, I am going to use the lowrider version because I think it might be more interesting when we try to make it a convertible or whatever if we're using the lowrider version versus the normal one. Just might give you a different outcome than normal. Or probably not, most honestly, but I'm honestly curious. I'm curious. So I'm going to just do it and see what happens. Should be able to get up to speed, no problem with this thing since it's hasn't shown any issues earlier. It's funny, you can notice there's grass going through the bumper every now and then. Okay, the tires have all burst to pieces and they're still making a ton of noise. I can't steer left or right, so we're going to end up hitting the wall instead of making a convertible like I wanted. So let's just go with that then. And these tires have absolutely been obliterated. And I think it's worth mentioning that this thing uses like an older version of the Grand Marshal as its base, I believe, because it doesn't have like the suspension noises and stuff. And I want to say it's using the older style of tires, maybe. Anyways, here is the impact, which will probably destroy the car, even though it's a little bit slower than normal because of the exploded tires. Yep, no problem there. Now, I really don't know if I'll be able to actually align it up with where I want to go, though. That is not going to be easy. Do the double flip. Land it. Hey, it keeps going. Yeah, that's where you wanted to go the first time, but you didn't. You pain. Nice and careful. Alright. I'm wondering, maybe I should just try to keep the speed down a bit. If I keep the speed down, hopefully the tires won't burst and I'll be able to actually steer left and right still. No, I'll punch it when I know I'm going to make it. But right now, it's still a little hard to tell for certain. Okay, the tires have popped all on their own. We're just going to hope we make it. I got it. I got it. Blown tires don't matter. So let's see what it do here. Perfect convertibilizing. So much noise is going on though. That looks pretty good to me. It looks like it's just like a rectangle on wheels. It looks really hideous in terms of design, but it is convertible. And I'm curious about one more thing though. Did the car get any damage when the wheels were exploding? Because it almost seemed like it did. So I'm just gonna go off at an angle like this so I don't end up hitting the wall. And I want to see if the car gets damaged just from driving along at high speeds. It's okay. Guess not. Oh, well, no, it's fine. We're gonna hit a bump in a second that'll destroy it. So freeze right here. No, there's no damage from that, but there'll be damage from this probably. Oh, surprisingly very little. I think it would do a lot more going at that speed. A little bit of damage on that door, but that's really it. Not bad. All right. So let's go ahead and finish things up at Leap of Death, which is here. Also, I should mention, when we're talking about the suspension right there, the suspension in it is pretty much the same as the Grand Marshal as far as I can tell, and you cannot tune it like the current one. For this, I'm going to use the police version because it's almost similar to the normal one, but it has the little light on top, so it technically has the most parts. It's like a taxi cab that the police took and just kind of half made it into a police car. That's what it makes me think of with having that almost taxi cab color on the side. So first run will be full speed, then the next one will get some slow-mo. Here we go. I'm just letting the camera angle do whatever it wants on full speed since you can't really see it anyways. Alright, I see a little bit of a glitchiness, but overall that's not too bad. Looks like the whole firewall disappeared though. I can see like right into the car from the front, it looks like half the time. That thing actually bounced to get right into the water from only that many hits. Kind of impressive. And I can't see nothing. Now I can. And I can tell you that it is wrecked. Kind of funny though, it looked more like a police car there because the doors that were colored disappeared. Alright, and finish it up. Wait, and slow-mo, start engaging now. And this one we get a good camera angle on it. Oh, weird! When it crashes, the doors change color! What? I did not expect that. So that's why I use slow-mo, so you can see things like that. And wow, this thing is just totally destroyed after just that one impact, though. And it is also stuck! So, that'll do it for the Smith Custom 200. Till next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya!